All right, so we've already made our paper template. Mine got a little bit, got a little messy, but you can still see what's on it. So now we're going to roll out our clay, and I'm going to need some sort of, I don't want it to, this clay is really sticky, so I don't want it to stick to the table. So I'm going to start off with just kind of smushing it to like a more manageable, like I want to make sure that it's the right size, right? So like I'm going to just kind of smoosh it in the directions that I need it to, and then I'll use my pencils and whatnot to get it the right. So I need to make sure it's the right width first. Okay, let's do things going everywhere. Get some pencils, my trusty rolling pin. This may be a little problematic. We might have to eyeball this a little bit. When you're rolling it out, you always want to keep checking to make sure that when we've got a good thickness, but that we're getting the length that we want, width and length that we want to. So I'm going to kind of keep my pencils there as a little bit of a guide so I don't go too thin, but my cup does not reach the pencils at this point. So we're just going to do the best we can with what we got. So I think we're doing pretty good, actually. Make sure our paper's fitting. Ooh, I just need to go a little bit this way. Gosh dang it. We're in the process of moving right now, and things are just a little bit tight here. Okay. Make sure we got the perfect. Okay. That will work for me. Okay, so we want to make sure we have a pretty good even thickness all the way around. And once we have our paper on here, we're going to cut this out. Now you can use your X-Acto knife or you can use your butter knife. I'm going to use the X-Acto knife. It works really nice, so I'm just going to use that. I'm going to cut around the edge, just getting, you know, closest as I can. So we're going to keep this piece of clay pretty flat until we get our design carved into it. And then once we get our letters and stuff traced on here, or numbers, some of you guys might have numbers. Oops, going a little wide there. Take off the extra. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take, you can take either your toothpick or like a sharp pencil. This is not a sharp pencil, but essentially what we're going to do is we're going to trace these letters on, right? So first thing we need to do is I would let this get leather hard. It is very, very soft. So anything that I press into it, like, is going to make a mark. So I would leave this for a day. Now that we've got it nice and cut out, leave it, you know, if you're good with time, leave it for a couple hours out, and then you could come back to it the same day. Or if you're not sure if you'll remember, because I'm not very good at remembering sometimes, put it in your plastic bag and come back to it in a day or so, and then start the next step, because you want to make sure that you have nice clean lines and that you can see your tracing on here. So I'm going to stop this demo and I'm going to come back to it because this is super, super wet and I'm in a cold garage. So I'm actually going to take this inside for a couple hours and let it get a little bit more set. You don't want to get it too set because we're eventually going to need this plate. You can see it has a little bit of a dimension to it. So once we get our drawing on here and we've gotten some of our things carved in, because that's going to be easier to do flat, then we'll clean up the edge, drape it onto here, and then start to do our slip trailing design with either this bottle here that has a super fine tip on it, or we can use this bottle here that has just a little bit less fine of a tip on it. So either bottle would be fine. This one is really beautiful, but it jams up a lot because there's lots of grit, which is sand essentially, in our clay. So it just is a little problematic sometimes. So yeah, we're going to stop here. Let this get a little bit more leather hard, at least to the touch. You could, if you were in a hurry, use a blow dryer and blow dry it, but we're not in a hurry, so we'll come back to it. See you in a few.